Welcome back. One of the stories making the news today in the Voice, the Star, and the Mirror newspaper is the U.S. Human Rights Report, the State Department Human Rights Report, as well as the headline story, the U.S. issues CIP warning. That's the headline story in the Mirror newspaper. It's on page 7 of the Voice newspaper. Let me just read a portion of it for you. The United States government has cautioned Caribbean countries offering a Citizenship by Investment program, or CIP, to be extra cautious about who they give their passports to and ensure that recipients have no terrorists or crime links. That pretty much capsulizes or summarizes the story. The concern over, and these are concerns that have been expressed by local organizations, local individuals, as we offer the CIP program. How robust is our due diligence procedures to ensure that we do not end up in an embarrassing position. It also follows news that I believe it's Antigua and Barbuda has taken Iraq off the list of countries that is willing to give passports to, again, out of concerns that terrorists from those countries, from that country, might make use of the CIP. But in the case of ISIS and its recruitment, we only have to look at Arabs in terms of terrorism, because we know they have been successful in recruiting a number of citizens from the West and those countries that they are targeting in their attacks. Also, this week, the Star newspaper on page 6 talks about the human rights report issued by the U.S. State Department and the likely implications for the police department. It details some of the statements made in the report and ends the article by talking about reliable sources in the police force who say that police officers who were part of Operation Restore Confidence were warned by the acting police commissioner on Wednesday to prepare for the worst, quote unquote. By informed account, the officers took that to mean that they can expect to be arrested and charged at any moment. According to my source, most of them have been worrying where they will get bail money. Meanwhile, the long-suspended inquest into the 5 fatal shootings by police resumed on Wednesday, but was adjourned to April 27th. Asked my source rhetorically, quote, "The big question is, how can they get a fair hearing after all that talk on TV by the Prime Minister about staged confrontations and planted weapons?" End of quote.
I think that one of the lessons that both of these stories you've referred to, the front page of the Mirror and the Voice and the Star, additional articles, it reiterates that the world is becoming more and more of a global village, and that what one country says can and does have impacts elsewhere. In our case, we've always known the United States to be either Big Brother or Uncle Sam, depending on what your perception is. But in both of those instances, what you have is the U.S. State Department, United States Ministry of Foreign Affairs, so to speak, saying to St. Lucia and the rest of the Caribbean, insofar as the CIP report, the CIP program is concerned, that, like you said, it's nothing new. But the U.S. is reiterating this time around, basically saying to not just St. Lucia, but all of the territories issuing citizenship by investment passports, that you need to ensure that your due diligence is more diligent. You need to be more diligent with your due diligence, and to ensure that terrorists don't buy passports. Now, in what sense is the United States issuing that warning? To protect itself from the United States being entered into by persons qualified as terrorists using St. Lucian, Dominican, Vincentian, and Antiguan other passports or Kittian passports? Or is it to prevent citizens from those countries being able to join ISIS? you know, because every one of those passports that is bought makes the purchaser a citizen of every other CARICOM country as well. And therefore, the United States concerns are no different from those of St. Lucia and every other country. But at the end of the day, what each country participating in the program tells you is that the intent is honest. It continues to be honest. There's a limit to which our due diligence can go. If somebody out to lie and to fool, you know, they will find ways and means of being able to cover up that lie in order to fool, you know, long enough to achieve what they would like to achieve. So there are pits and falls in every program. Every citizenship by investment program has been abused, including those that are being offered by the United States, by Britain, by Australia, by Canada, and we tend to forget that the United States offers a CIP program as well, particularly to Chinese. Any Chinese who has more than $500,000 that they want to invest in the United States gets a green card, you know, overnight, basically. Similarly, they are also saying that if you're a St. Lucian and you have $1 million you want to invest in Florida, you could also apply for U.S. citizenship. So if it's good for them, it's good for us. They are not pretending that people do not take advantage of their situation. Right now, as we speak, the current president of Taiwan, who is going to be taking office on the 21st of May, also has a situation in court where she has been named in a case involving a fugitive of justice from Taiwan who how you say that, went to the States through that program and is in the States threatening now, you know, to implement legal action against the incoming president. Now the United States is saying, hey, you have a guy who ran away, you know, seeking protection from political persecution, and now is looking to use the United States as a base to carry out revenge back home. That's an abuse of their CIP program. There are different ways in which people abuse. It also brings us to the tricky question of tax evasion and tax avoidance. You know, in the United States and Britain, Pfizer decided to go into a $150 billion merger with a company in Ireland so that Pfizer could take advantage of the lower tax rates in Ireland because corporate tax is 35% in the United States, and it is something like 10% or 15% in Ireland. Now, when the Pfizer decided to move to Ireland, the United States, the Obama administration, took measures that was going to make that merger not work. So they've called it off. But the whole question came in, was Pfizer trying to evade or avoid? Tax evasion is illegal. It's illegal to evade tax, but it is legal to avoid. And CIP programs can also be used to avoid tax. But there would be people who, in trying to avoid, would be evading. You know, and these are some of the things that we have to look out for, but how can you know? And therefore, that is why the ultimate position is that you cannot throw the baby out with the bathwater. You know, every program has the possibility of being abused, but you cannot decide that you're not going to have the program because of the possibility of abuse. If we have 500 applicants and 3 end up trying to abuse, we still have 497 who didn't. And what we have to do is address the abuse by the 3 in ways that would prevent or avoid it happening again. Similarly, with the statement by the U.S. insofar as the impacts report is concerned, here you have the U.S. issuing an annual human rights report in which it covers every country in the world. Folks, I'm telling you that the U.S. State Department receives reports from individuals and organizations and entities in St. Lucia, particularly in the area of human rights. And therefore, when it comes to those conclusions, it is assisted in coming to those conclusions by relevant persons and organizations in St. Lucia, whose role and responsibility every year is to provide the United States with the ammunition that it would need to be able to carry out its war for human rights in St. Lucia and the rest of the world. So when that is taken now and it is interpreted quickly, it is interpreted that here the United States is saying that insofar as the follow-up of impacts, 5 cases have been determined to be legal killings by the local system, but there is 1 case that hasn't been addressed by the DPP, and therefore the new trend seems to be, okay, when is the DPP's office going to address that 1 case that has been found necessary to go to court in the impacts case? And now, like you read, the fear is being generated again with this report that the acting commissioner has warned the police officers named in the impacts report to fear the worst. What's the worst? That they're going to be arrested, and you even have references to them being scared and wondering where they will get bail money. I think that is fanning flames. It's a matter of fanning flames.
Yeah. All right, we are due for a break. Let's take the break. When we come back, we'll wrap up our conversation. Let's talk about the media.
Certainly.
Okay. This is the Press Club. We'll be right back.